In this first tutorial, we're going to model the sides for the Heirloom box project. So you need to go to File, New Design, and I always think it's best practice to save it right now and give it a name. So I've already created one and I've called it Heirloom Box Tutorial, and I've saved it. I've created a folder for the Heirloom box project, and you can just press save and then move on. Now I've already done that, so I won't go there. Okay, so here's my tutorial, my blank screen. Now before we start, we're going to model this a little bit differently to the last project. We're going to put in some parameters. And that's going to give us some benefits in terms of being able to alter our design and just kind of see what works or what we like without actually having to redraw components. So we're going to go to Modify, Change Parameters, and I'm going to add some parameters. So the first one I want is box length. And I'm going to make that 300 millimeters, but I can change that later if I wish. Now the unit is in millimeters. If it's not on yours, just make sure you change it to millimeters. The next one I'm going to put in is the golden ratio. And I'm not going to go into it sort of in this tutorial, but I do go into it in the modules. And I'm going to use the golden ratio as part of the design for my box. And it's 1.618. Now the unit there is millimeters. It doesn't really matter because I'm basically going to use this as a factor by which I can either multiply or divide other dimensions. The other one I want is material thickness. And in this case, it's going to be 12 millimeters. But again, the benefit of putting it in this way is that if in the real world, for whatever reason, the material is a different thickness because it's got to be prepared, I can change it here and it won't actually affect my design. The final one I'm going to put in is the box depth. Now in the real world, the constraint there is 90 millimeters. I'm going to put in 60 millimeters, but again, it's something I can change later on and go okay. All right, so I've got those in there. So the first thing I want to do is new sketch, and I'm going to go off the top sketch plane. I want a rectangle, but I want a center point rectangle. So I'll go from the origin and I'll go out. Now this is where I can start using my parameters. So I'm just going to press tab because I actually want the second dimension there. And that's going to be box length. So you can see that there. Press tab to go to the next one. What I want to do here is I want to actually use box length divided by golden ratio. So in this case, I'm actually starting to use my parameters here. Okay, so there we go. So we've got that. So that you would call that a golden rectangle. All right. So now that we've got that, we're going to offset. We want to create a thickness to this now. So we'll go offset, we'll select the outside, and we're going to come in by, and you can see it's a minus there, so we just go minus material thickness. So again, you can see that we can change all of these things later on. You know, this will automatically adjust itself. Okay, so finally what we want to do, we'll just use the keyboard shortcut L, and we're just going to put in these mitered corners because that's how we're going to make our box in the real world. And we can finish this sketch. So there we go. So now we're going to zoom out and we're going to create the parts or the sides for our box. Extrude, and we can click here. And what we want to do over here is we want to create a new component, and we do want to go up, and we want to go up by box depth. There we go, so new component. And you can see over here, it's appeared as a component. It's good sort of fairly quickly. Let's just rename this. So we'll just call it an end. Now our sketch has disappeared, so we want to bring that back again. And we can go again. So we'll extrude. We'll go up and it's box depth. Now we don't want join. We want to make sure that we've got a new component. Okay, so we've got I mean, there's probably faster ways we can do this, but we'll call it side. Let's go again. We don't want join, new component again. And finally, we'll do our second end here. And new component. There we go. So we've now got, we can just change our view a little bit, have a look around, back to home, we can orbit. We've got our basic outline of our box.